Before we start the video, I just want to let you guys know two things. 1. This video is heavily inspired by Ampience. Link to him will be in the description. 2. More than 90% of you guys watching our videos are unsubscribed, so please subscribe, it's free, and you can unsubscribe if you feel like it. Now back to the video. Five Nights at Tubbyland, a game made by Clicky Code that takes these four freaks and actually makes them look not only less creepy, but cooler in my opinion. Over the years, it has been upgraded just like the fan games Treasure Island, Chuck E. Cheese's, and even Thomas the Tank Engine. There are games like Tubbyland Act 1, the Throwback Trilogy, and 9 months ago, the game got a revamp almost 6 years after the original. Now it might be obvious to some people, but I just wanted to talk about this. What makes this version of Tubbyland harder than its previous version? Well, when I first hopped on, I noticed that the power was now just labeled power, not door power. Fair enough, I just assumed Clicky made that decision as making the power decrease only when the door closes would be a little too easy. But that's not the only thing that changed. Tubbybot Po can now move. Now I don't mean move as she'll come to attack when you don't wind her box enough, she's been doing that since the beginning. I mean, she can move around cams and you have to find her and continue to wind her box. If the puppet wasn't already a threat in FNAF 2, imagine if he could move around the cameras and you have to find him. That's basically Po. This small change, in my opinion, is what makes Tubbyland's max mode harder than the originals. I might go as far as to say that Po's buff makes everyone more harder to deal with than they already were, for the most part. Lala can teleport like Bonnie in FNAF 1, but she can actually go from dining room 1 to near or even at the door. Dipsy doesn't always give a sound cue when he moves, and using the fumes on him costs power. Tinky Winky needs to be stared at, but that's almost impossible to keep him at bay when there's a moving music box. Clearly, this combo of Po and Tinky is just awful. You are now constantly having to scavenge cameras for Po, but need to keep an eye on Tinky. Normally in FNAF and even FNAF fan games, there is usually a camera, or cameras, that are far more important to monitor over the others. For example, the right corner in FNAF 1, the prize corner in FNAF 2, and the dressing room in Chuck E. Cheese's Remastered. Po and Tinky break that habit, if you call it that. Adding salt to the wound, Po can be somewhat RNG as when she moves, you can be lucky and find her on the first camera you click, or unlucky and find her on the last camera you click. It's even worse when you do find her on the last camera you click, only for her to instantly move. This max mode is so difficult that the max AI for the Tubbybots is 10. Not sure that's the actual reason as to why that's the max AI, but if it is, I could see why. While I have been 410 mode 3 or 4 times, it wasn't very easy, obviously. Beating it the first time, you think it would be easier the next time. Probably, but no. As I said, Po and even Dipsy are somewhat RNG. Remember, Dipsy doesn't always get a sound cue. Comparing this to the 320 mode on the previous Tubbyland, Po doesn't move, which probably makes it easier to keep Tinky Winky at bay. At least, that's probably what made it easier for Taste when he played it. Speaking of which, remember when I mentioned Tubbyland Act 1 in the Throwback Trilogy? In Tubbyland Act 1, all you have to do is stare at Po when she enters your door. She'll have a sound cue getting to your office. As for Tinky Winky, you do have to stare at him, but when you do, he'll actually go back to his starting position, unlike the original Tubbyland and the 2.0 version. In the Throwback Trilogy, Po has the same mechanic in Tubbyland Act 1, and Tinky keeps the same mechanics from the original and 2.0 version of Tubbyland. Now I'm not saying that 2.0 is impossible and that you should only play the other versions. I mentioned that I beat 410 mode myself. It just takes time and practice like all max modes in FNAF. While yes, it can be hectic having to scavenge cameras instead of only having to look at one due to Po letting Tinky Winky to take advantage of that. Again, it takes practice and even prioritization to complete a max mode in any FNAF game, and let's be honest, RNG is nowhere near as bad as 1020 mode in FNAF 2. If you're asking me what strategy I used to beat the night myself, all I can really tell you is to leave the camera that Tinky Winky is on, even when leaving the cameras. That's where the prioritization comes in, and the one that should be prioritized in my opinion. Then, the door for Lala. And finally, for Po or Dipsy is really just random chaos, or so Po is, in that order. If there's an effective strategy for 410 mode, I don't know it. There's also a good chance it doesn't exist yet. In the end, while Tubbyland 2.0's small change can lead to a pretty challenging max mode, it's clearly still beatable and again, it just takes practice. You can play all versions of Tubbyland for free in GameJolt, links will be in the description. Again, first time making a video like this, so I hope it turned out well, and I will see you all next time.